When Grandpa was on his deathbed, held $100 billion deposit in 3 matches and told Brother Yang and me to pick one. I picked the $100 billion inheritance without hesitation. Brother Yang only got 3 matches. Turns out these 3 matches have magical wish-granting powers. All you need to do is light one and make a wish, and your wish will come true. Brother Yang resented Mom and Dad for favoring me. The first thing he did was curse Mom and Dad to die a terrible death. Sure enough, Dad had a sudden heart attack and died instantly. Mom was hit and sent flying by a truck on her way to the hospital. I grabbed a kitchen knife and went to confront my adopted brother. But my adopted brother lit the second match with a cold sneer. He wished I would be trafficked to a scam park in Myanmar, get my organs harvested, and die a brutal death. I was scared out of my wits. I took out all my savings and hired over 1,000 bodyguards to keep myself completely protected. But late one night, all the bodyguards passed out at the same time. I ended up getting trafficked to the park anyway and died after suffering endless torture. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn on the day the inheritance was being distributed. Grandpa was right then, shakily taking out 3 matches. His voice was hoarse and weak. This $100 billion inheritance and these 3 matches, you two brothers can only pick one of them. Baechan, you're the older brother. You pick first. I jolted all over and suddenly realized I had been reborn. Remembering how horribly my family suffered in my past life, I instinctively looked over at my parents beside me. They were standing there perfectly fine, nodding at me encouragingly. This time I chose the 3 matches without hesitation. Everyone froze on the spot immediately. Is Gu Baechan crazy? These are just 3 regular matches. They're not made of gold or anything. That's a $100 billion inheritance. He's just leaving it to his adopted brother. Gu Baechan wants to play nice, but he doesn't even check what kind of situation this is. This is so frustrating to watch. If he doesn't know how to choose, let me do it for him. Baechan, did you pick the wrong one by mistake? Dad's startup just went public. Your mom's health isn't that great either. We really need money right now. Good kid, I know you're kind-hearted. And always look out for your brother. But if you pick the $100 billion inheritance, you can give half to your brother later too. There's no need to do this. I want these 3 matches. My brother lost his parents when he was little. His background is way worse than mine. I don't want a single cent of the $100 billion inheritance. It all goes to my brother. My brother was so happy he almost jumped up. He signed the inheritance papers smugly, while thanking me all fake nice. Thanks for being so generous, bro. Don't worry. When you're so poor, you're begging on the street later. I'll definitely buy you 2 steamed buns. I didn't respond to everyone's taunts. They don't know the secret that these matches can make any wish come true. That night, I heard Mom and Dad tossing and turning in their bedroom. What is Baechan even thinking? We raised him for over 20 years, and we ended up raising a fool. Debt collectors are coming tomorrow to demand payment. If we can't pay back the money, we're gonna lose our house. Grandpa's family rules are super strict. He always requires the younger generations to support themselves. Dad's company is still new. It's not making good profits. And we owe a lot of loan shark money. They originally wanted me to use Grandpa's inheritance to help him get through this hard time, but I chose the 3 matches instead. After Yang Di got the inheritance, he immediately went out partying and wasting money. Asking him to pay back Mom and Dad's debts is basically impossible. Seeing Mom and Dad stay up all night worrying, I felt really bad too. I quietly lit the first match. I wished that Mom and Dad would get rich overnight. After making the wish, I got into bed feeling totally satisfied. But early the next morning, I was woken up from my sleep by Mom's scream. It's over. Everything is over. The company caught fire out of nowhere. Everything was burned to the ground. Worse, the fire spread to the shops next door. We have to compensate them tens of millions. Dad was also squatting on the floor, holding his head and shaking uncontrollably. I gripped the burnt matchstick tightly in my hand. I felt cold all over. How could this happen? Mom was totally frantic with worry. When she saw me standing there dumbfounded, her pent-up emotions exploded instantly. This is all your fault for picking those 3 stupid matches. Matches! Fire! Damn, this is all fate. If you'd picked the $100 billion inheritance, none of this would have ever happened. Mom couldn't stop sobbing. Dad silently pulled Mom into his arms. He closed his eyes tiredly and said nothing at all. My head started spinning wildly. How could this happen? I clearly wished for Mom and Dad to get rich. But why did they go bankrupt all of a sudden? Is this change caused by my rebirth? Wishes work the opposite way in this life. At that thought, I rushed back to the bedroom and took out the second match. But before I could make a wish, the front door was kicked open with a loud bang. Joe, we guys ran all the way to collect the debt, sweating like pigs. And you lot are just here relaxing and enjoying yourselves. Today's your final warning. If you still can't pay back the money tomorrow, I'll chop your damn hands off. They hadn't paid off the usury loans they owed before, and the sudden fire left Mom and Dad owing tens of millions in compensation. With no other choice, Mom and Dad could only call their adopted son. They called 10 times in a row, before Nanxing answered slowly, Son, your dad and I are in big trouble right now. Grandpa left you 100 billion inheritance. We won't ask for too much. We just beg you to give us 30 million, okay? If we can't pay off the debt collectors will chop our hands off. On Nanxing's WeChat moments, the limited edition Rolex he just bought is worth 50 million, but faced with Mom and Dad's request for help, Nanxing sighed, pretending to be helpless. Mom and Dad, it's not that I don't want to give you money, but this inheritance was specially left to me by Grandpa. I don't dare to spend it randomly. If you want to blame someone, blame my older brother. He was the one who picked the 3 matches back then. Mom and Dad wanted to say something more, but Nanxing hung up the phone immediately. Right after that, Nanxing posted another WeChat Moments update. He was holding a little puppy in his arms. The puppy was wearing a tiny, pure gold little crown, and the caption read, "Money should be spent on people who deserve it." Mom and Dad were shaking with anger. To get enough money for tomorrow's repayment, I sold all the sneakers I've collected since I was a kid. I even sold my own cell phone and replaced it with a cheap second-hand phone that cost a few $100. Mom sold her own dowry. Dad sold his car too. We barely scraped together a few million. Dad's frown finally relaxed a little. This money is almost enough to cover the usury payment due tomorrow. Mom also calmed down and apologized to me seriously. Baichen, I couldn't control my emotions this morning, and I lashed out at you. I know none of this is your fault. I'm sorry, I'm apologizing to you. My nose stung, and I almost cried. Maybe I really made the wrong choice. All right. Let's let bygones be bygones. Money is dead. People are alive. Seeing Nanxing's true colors through this 100 billion mess is actually worth it. Who would have thought we felt bad for him being all alone back then, and took him in out of kindness? But we ended up raising an ungrateful bastard. We only had steamed buns for dinner, but the 3 of us still ate it with warm hearts. Dad talked about his future plans, and light returned to his eyes. As long as we have hands and feet, I can definitely make a comeback. That night I gritted my teeth and lit the second match. I wished that Mom and Dad would become disabled and live in poverty for their whole lives. Since the first wish worked the opposite way, then I'll make the opposite wish this time. I hope that this time, Mom and Dad can live a safe and wealthy life. I held the burnt stub of the second match tightly and didn't dare to close my eyes at all. I was scared that just like last night, when I woke up, I'd be greeted by bad news again. I don't ask for great wealth or status. I just want Mom and Dad to be healthy and happy their whole lives. It wasn't until 5 a.m. that a wave of extreme drowsiness suddenly hit me. My body tilted to one side, and my consciousness blurred for a moment. When I woke up again, it was dead silent around me. My heart was pounding like crazy. I snuck to the door of my parents' bedroom and peeked inside. Mom and Dad were sleeping peacefully. I let out a sigh of relief. But just as I was about to go back to my bedroom, 2 piercing screams erupted at the same time from my parents' bedroom. I threw the door open violently and almost fainted from fright. Mom and Dad were totally fine just now, but all their toes turned pitch black. They clutched their toes and wailed nonstop. My scalp started tingling like crazy. I quickly dialed 120 for an ambulance. By the time the doctors arrived, the black patches on my parents' bodies had spread from their toes to their entire lower bodies. The doctor looked extremely grave. The disease is worsening way too fast. Get ready for amputation right now. I was almost falling apart. I thought of the second wish I'd made. I wanted to slap myself so hard. The money I'd just scraped together with so much effort Was all spent on the surgery fees now. Why did Mom and Dad end up like this? Looking at me crying my eyes out, the doctor just shook his head and sighed. We don't know the exact cause either. I've never seen a case like this before. Even my master's master hasn't heard of it. The next day, the loan sharks came to collect the debt. Damn it, I've been looking for you assholes forever. Don't think you're safe hiding in the hospital. I'm gonna chop your hands off today, no matter what. But when they walked into the ward and saw how terrible my parents looked, they froze on the spot immediately. All their previous arrogance was completely replaced by icy shock. Forget it then. Whenever you have the money, you can pay me back then. Before leaving, they even threw me 200 yen and told me to buy some food. When I put the money in my pocket, I suddenly touched the third match. The first wish I made was a good one. But that good thing turned into a disaster. The second time I made the opposite wish, I wanted to turn the bad thing into a good one. But the bad result just came true for real. This isn't some wish-granting match at all. It's basically the key to Pandora's box, but not making a wish is already a dead end. The third match is the only chance for me and my parents to turn things around. But what should I wish for this third time? My mind was a total mess. My parents still needed me to take care of them. I had to put the match thing aside for now. My parents had just gotten amputations. They were depressed from the constant phantom limb pain. Even when they were in so much pain, they couldn't sleep all night. They still tried their best to comfort me. Baichen. We don't feel any pain at all. Don't be too sad, okay? Maybe this is all a test from God. As long as we can get through this, everything will work out eventually. I held back my tears and forced myself to cheer up, to get more nutrition for my parents. I went to work as a laborer at a construction site. I finally managed to save up a few dozen yuan. I bought a gin of spiced beef for my parents. On the way back, I kept wondering if Mom and Dad would have smiles on their faces. But right when I got to the ward door, Mom grabbed a water cup and slammed it right on my head. Get out! Get out of my sight right now. I was stunned. I turned around and saw Yang Di, who had been missing for days, was actually standing next to my parents. He waved his phone at me smugly, then turned and hugged Mom and Dad tightly. Mom, Dad, you all thought I was out partying these days, right? I was actually spying on brother this whole time. I noticed something was off with him a long time ago, so I took this video with a drone. The video is 100% real. My brother here looks all nice and kind, but he's actually super evil inside. In the video, I was holding a match tight and making a wish devoutly. I wished that Mom and Dad would become disabled and be poor their whole lives. Fury was practically pouring out of my parents' eyes. No wonder your dad and I have been so unlucky lately. It's all because you've been cursing us. I panicked and told them the whole truth immediately. Mom? Dad? Listen to my explanation. The matches Grandpa left me can grant wishes. The first wish I made was for you to get rich, but you ended up going bankrupt. So when I made the second wish, I made the opposite wish on purpose. A flicker of hesitation crossed my parents' eyes, but Yang Di walked over and slapped me hard across the face. So according to what you're saying, the matches Grandpa left you, no matter what you wish for, will always bring bad luck. That's total bullshit. That's your own grandpa we're talking about. How could he leave you something like that? My parents thought that made sense too, and their eyes turned cold again. From now on, Nanxing is our only biological son. You damn jinx. Get the hell out of here as far as you can. I completely broke down this time. Why did things end up like this? Yang Di threw all my stuff out of the ward. I seized the chance to confront him. You're behind all this, aren't you? Aren't you already sitting on 100 billion inheritance? Why do you even have to fight me for Mom and Dad? No reason. I just don't like the sight of you. Bang! The front door was tightly shut. The three people inside were laughing and chatting happily. People were coming and going in the hospital corridor. I stood by the door like a total clown. In my past life, my adopted younger brother Yang Di hated Mom and Dad to the core. In this life, he took the initiative to get close to them. He must be up to no good. I have to find out the truth as soon as possible, or the tragedy of my past life will repeat itself all over again. My first suspect was my adopted younger brother Yang Di. Of swapping the matches I had with me, the matches that could grant wishes were replaced by cursed items that bring bad luck. I sold off everything I owned and borrowed a ton of money on top of that. to hire a private detective. But the detective's findings left me totally disappointed. These 3 matches were indeed left to me by Grandpa. My adopted younger brother never even touched them, let alone swapped them out. I wanted to ask the detective to dig deeper into the case, but he flat out refused. You borrowed money to hire me, just to investigate 3 matches, dude? Are you some kind of idiot? I'm not taking this job of yours anymore. I'm scared you'll frame me for something later. Because of my weird requests, I got blacklisted by the entire private investigator circle. If science can't explain this, then I have to turn to metaphysics for help. I made a few posts online, and they caused a huge stir. A highly respected master reached out and offered to help me for free. I was over the moon and rushed over to see him that very night. After hearing about my ordeal, the master had tears in the corners of his eyes. He patted his chest and promised he would help me. But the master looked at the matches over and over for ages and couldn't find anything wrong with them at all. In the end, he only said things like, evil people will get what's coming to them to comfort me. There's nothing wrong with the matches. Does that mean I'm the one with the problem? But I had a full physical just a few weeks ago, both physically and mentally. I was perfectly healthy. Just when I was at my wit's end, I suddenly got a picture from my adopted younger brother. Hey bro, mom and dad gave your room to me. This looks like your favorite Transformers toy you've had since you were little. I accidentally broke it? You're not mad at me, right? I squeezed my phone so tight my knuckles turned white. This was the only keepsake my grandpa, who loved me more than anyone, left me. I was so furious I saw red. I wanted to tear my adopted brother limb from limb. Then I spotted a tiny detail in the picture and combined it with what the master had just said. It all clicked. I finally understood why in this life I made 2 wishes in a row and didn't get what I wanted either time. I also finally knew what wish I should make. With the 3rd match, when I struck the match in my rental apartment, I was shaking all over with excitement. I never thought the truth was so close to me, and I took so long to figure it out. The second the match went out, I caught a glimpse of something outside the window. A red dot flashed for a split second. Of course, my adopted brother was still spying on me with a drone. I openly took a picture of the burnt-out match stub and sent it to him. I've already made my 3rd wish. In a few days, you'll definitely come begging me for mercy. Youngdi replied with an eye-roll emoji. I didn't feel like bickering with him. I crawled under the covers and fell fast asleep. I slept better than I ever had this time. I was sure that when I woke up, I'd be greeted by a happy, perfect life. When I woke up again, the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was Yang Di. I was overjoyed. I never thought the match would grant my wish this fast. You're here to beg for mercy already. Since we've been brothers for so many years, if you split Grandpa's inheritance with me 50-50, I'll let everything that happened slide. I was full of confidence. When my adopted brother broke my Transformers toy yesterday, he sent me the picture to gloat. In the corner of that picture, I spotted a very hidden asterisk symbol. This symbol belongs to the most famous, ruthless hitman on the black market, Vulture. This ruthless hitman Vulture does anything for money. As long as the pay is good, he'll take any job. In my past life, after Yangdi cursed me, I even paid a fortune to hire him as my bodyguard. That's why I know this symbol so well. I followed the trail and quickly found out that right after I made my first wish for mom and dad to get rich, Yangdi immediately placed an order on the black market. The wish for mom and dad to get rich would have actually come true. The major investor who was willing to put 1 billion yuan into the shareholder already sent someone to deliver money to my parents, but the delivery was cut short halfway by thugs hired by my adopted brother. That's not even the worst part. The huge fire at my parents' company was also set by those thugs. Actually, the first match already granted my wish, but I was fooled by my adopted brother and stupidly thought wishes would come true in reverse. So when I made the second wish, I wished for the opposite outcome. Matches don't judge if a wish is good or bad. As long as I make a wish, the match will definitely make it come true. That's why my parents ended up disabled the second time. That's what the master meant when he said the matches were fine. After I learned the truth, I confidently made my 3rd wish, and sure enough, the day after I made the wish, my adopted brother came to see me. I smugly waited for him to beg for mercy, but he just looked at me with a playful smirk and casually handed me a mirror. Bro, I'm really curious. What wish did you even make? To end up looking like this freak? A bad premonition immediately washed over me. I grabbed the mirror instinctively The second I saw my own face, I was so scared I threw the mirror across the room. How could this happen? No way. I must have seen it wrong. I refused to believe it, so I looked down at the mirror shards on the floor, and this time, the harsh, brutal truth hit me right in the face. The mirror had shattered into pieces, and every single shard reflected an extremely ugly face. I shakily touched my own face. The old saggy skin made me want to throw up. In just one night, I had aged 70 years out of nowhere. No way! I already figured out how the wishes work. Why did the third wish still go wrong? My adopted brother put on a fake, confused look. That's so weird. Matches can grant any wish you want, but you chose to turn yourself into an ugly monster. Bro, do you have a thing for being old or something? My heart felt like it was being squeezed tightly in someone's fist. If the matches themselves are fine, then for my third wish, I wished that my adopted brother would get what he deserved. Why did all the bad stuff happen to me instead? I grabbed him by the collar. You must have messed with this. Did you use some kind of black magic to bounce all the bad karma onto me? He yanked my fingers away in disgust, with a look of pure contempt on his face. Black magic to deal with you. I don't need something that fancy for you. Bro, since you're gonna die soon anyway, I'll let you in on a secret. I got reborn too. My pupils shrank suddenly. My mind was racing a mile a minute. In my past life, he used the matches to make wishes that made my parents and me die with regrets. If he got reborn too, he should have fought me for the matches this time, right? I couldn't wrap my head around it. Then why did you let me take the matches? Weren't you scared I'd wish for revenge on you? He burst out laughing. Laughing so hard he cried. Bro, I know you must hate me so much. You even wished I'd die a horrible death with your third wish. But now I'm standing here perfectly fine. And you've turned into this half-human, half-ghost freak. Bro, you must be so mad you're about to explode, right? I froze on the spot. He leaned in next to my ear, all mysterious. Sure, these 3 matches grant wishes, but they also backfire on the person making the wish. Last life I used 2 wishes, to make you and your parents die miserably. But right after you died, my whole body started rotting.
Even when I used my third wish.
To heal myself, it didn't work at all. That's when I found out that using match wishes comes with a backlash. That's why I let you take the matches on purpose this life. I wanted to watch you get hit by the backlash after making wishes. Rot all over just like I did last life. Clinging to life in unbearable pain. He got more and more excited as he talked. He even held up his phone to film my messy look. Bro, this is the most decent you'll look for the next 10 years. I'll record this properly for you. For the next 10 years, every part of you, from your bones to your hair, will rot away little by little. You'll suffer through extreme pain every single day. And even if you try to kill yourself, you won't be able to die. You'll be stuck where you can't live, and can't die either. Last life, the torture drove me completely crazy. But don't worry, bro, this life, I'll hire the best doctors, use the most expensive medicine to make sure you stay awake every single second. That way I can repay our brotherhood properly. Right. I stared at my nearly insane adopted brother. I'm completely devastated. When Mom and Dad adopted him back then, he was as tiny and skinny as a little quail. All he did was follow me around, calling me brother. I gave him a piece of candy. He was so moved he almost cried. He even swore when he made big money later, he'd buy me loads and loads of snacks. Our whole family felt so bad for him. We practically doted on my adopted brother. He was very sensitive. So ever since he was little, my adopted brother got the exact same food, clothes, and supplies as I did. Sometimes he even got better stuff than me. I thought if I showered him with enough love, my adopted brother would grow up polite and well-educated, open-minded and generous. But I never thought, some people are just born bad. I ripped off the realistic mask on my face. My adopted brother's laughter stopped abruptly. His eyes almost popped out of his head. You... I pulled a match out of my pocket and waved it in front of Yang Di. Oops, sorry about that. The match I lit yesterday was just a regular one. I haven't used the real third match yet. I still have 1 wish left. Guess what wish I'm gonna make this time? Yang Di panicked for a second, then quickly calmed himself down. Aren't you scared of the backfire? I shook my head with a smile. At this point, you still don't get it, do you? The backfire you got in your past life was because you used matches to wish harm on others. You did way too many evil things. That's why you got backfired. A regular wish won't cause any backfire. Even though my second wish this life was to make Mom and Dad disabled. I made that wish only because I thought wishes would come true in the opposite way. So that doesn't count as an evil deed. I just pretended to be suffering from backfire earlier. To trick you into telling the truth. Everything you just said. I recorded all of it and sent it to Mom and Dad. They've seen your true colors now. And now I'm gonna use this third match to make you pay for what you did. Youngdi screamed and lunged at me to grab the match. Give me that match. Yangdi and I started wrestling with each other. Yangdi bit wildly like a mad dog. He even lifted up a nearby chair and smashed it as hard as he could at my head. Bang! Yangdi knocked me to the ground. I lost my strength and dropped the match on the floor. Yangdi quickly picked it up and lit it. I wish your whole body festers with sores, and you die a horrible death. I frowned. You already suffered a bad end in your past life for using matches to curse other people. And you still dare to curse people in this life. Aren't you scared of getting backfired again? Yangdi covered his mouth and faked surprise. Oh no, I didn't curse you. I thought matches could only grant the opposite of what you wish for. Oh, I'm so sorry. I originally wanted to wish for my brother's good health and a happy, fulfilling life. I just misspoke by accident. I'm so sorry, brother. But the match has already burned out now. There's nothing I can do to fix it. You're so kind, brother. You'll definitely forgive me, right? Yangdi blinked his eyes innocently on purpose, the corner of his mouth raised high, but his eyes were full of malice. I sighed. The third wish. I hope Mom and Dad stay healthy and live a long life, and you get the punishment you deserve. Yangdi clicked his tongue impatiently. One match can only grant one wish. I already made my wish. Save your wish for your next life. With that, Yangdi turned around to leave, but I suddenly pulled out from behind my back a match that had just finished burning. Oh, little brother, you didn't actually think I'd be stupid enough to take out the real third match and let you steal it, did you? The one you stole is just a regular match. The one I just lit is the real third match. Yangdi's veins popped out in anger instantly. How dare you trick me? You actually dared to trick me. You have both your parents, a perfect family. You've already had such a happy life, brother. Why do you have to pick on a poor orphan like me? I would have felt terrible for him if I heard this before, but now I just feel disgusted. Some people are just born ungrateful. You can never win them over. No matter how good you are to him, he'll never think it's enough. Oh, you think you're tough just because you have the match. Even if I don't have a match, I can still make you wish you were dead. Can't even beg for death. Younger brother Yang tapped his phone screen a few times quickly. A bunch of men in black waiting outside the door swarmed in. The one leading them was that desperado vulture. What do you order, young master? Younger brother Yang pointed right at me. I heard you're the best at torturing people. Even the toughest guy can be trained into an obedient dog by you. I want you to torture my brother real good. The crueler the methods, the better. First, burn his face with gasoline. I hate that flirty look on his face so much. Me? Flirting with people? I really don't get it. I've been a total homebody since I was a kid. When did I ever flirt with anyone? Seeing the confused look on my face, younger brother Yang got super pissed off. You flirted with way too many women. You can't even remember who you flirted with. Back when we were in kindergarten, a rich heiress liked me a lot back then. But you went up to her and said a few words. That rich girl never talked to me again after that. If it weren't for you, I would have married that rich heiress long ago and become the well-respected young master of a wealthy family. I wouldn't be getting looked down on by everyone in this family all the time. It suddenly clicked for me and rolled my eyes speechlessly. That rich girl's family ran illegal gray area businesses. I noticed she was hanging out a lot with my adopted brother back then. I was scared my adopted brother would get hurt. So I warned that rich girl, but I never expected. Younger brother Yang actually held a grudge against me for this tiny little thing for all these years. I spoke slowly and calmly. Do you have any idea that this rich girl's entire family was jailed for child trafficking? Younger brother Yang wouldn't listen at all. He was dead set on thinking that I, as his older brother, never wanted him to succeed. Hurry up and burn my brother's face to a crisp. The men in black shouted, "Yes, sir," in unison. They carried out a big bucket of gasoline, and the next second, all the gasoline was poured all over younger brother Yang. You bunch of useless idiots. Are you all blind? I told you to disfigure my brother. Not me. No one expected Vulture, who was just bowing and scraping a second ago, to kick younger brother Yang right in the stomach. I've been in the underworld for decades. This is the first time I've met someone who dares to scam me like this. You hired me to do your dirty work and gave me a box of gold bars. I thought you were a rich, generous employer at first. But I found out today that those gold bars are all just chocolate. You think we're a bunch of fools to mess with, and you even call us useless idiots. Looks like my third wish, that younger brother Yang gets what he deserves, is starting to come true. Younger brother Yang screamed and stumbled backwards. I didn't do this. My brother cursed those gold bars with a match. The men in black burst out laughing. Curse? Do you think you're some prince living in a fairy tale? Vulture held up a lighter. Come on, boys, light him up. Let's get him to sober up. Amid my adopted brother's screams, I snuck out of that rental apartment in the chaos and ran as fast as I could back home. Even though my adopted brother had done all kinds of evil things, I was nice enough to call the police for him. After all, if I just let him die without helping, I would also get in trouble with the law. When I got home, Mom and Dad hugged me tight and kept apologizing to me. If it weren't for those recordings you made, Mom and Dad would have been fooled by him. We're so sorry, Baishan. We really misunderstood you. I made my third wish, that Mom and Dad would be healthy and happy. Soon a doctor notified us that the new bionic prosthetic research team was looking for Mom and Dad to be their first batch of volunteers. The whole process is completely free. Mom and Dad went into the operating room lying down and ran out just a few hours later. This kind of bionic prosthetic can fuse perfectly with the human body. You can run and jump with it. It's no different from your original legs at all. The shareholder who originally wanted to invest in Mom and Dad's business came to talk about cooperation again. They fully supported Mom and Dad to make a comeback. A few days later, we heard news about younger brother Yang. 99% of his body was burned. He was delirious from the extreme pain he was in. Mom, Dad, and I silently agreed not to go visit him. He never treated us like family, so there's no need for us to fawn over someone who doesn't want us around. A few months later, Mom and Dad's new company went public successfully, and luckily it rode the industry trend perfectly. They not only paid off all their debts, but also made a huge fortune in one go. Younger brother Yang held a pen in his mouth and wrote a lot of apology letters, saying he didn't know what was good for him before, that he knew he was wrong, and begged us to give him a second chance. We threw all these apology letters straight into the trash can. We all knew very well that younger brother Yang didn't realize he was wrong. He was just scared, racked by illness and pain. Younger brother Yang lingered on for 3 whole years. We handed his funeral arrangements over to a professional company. I heard that when younger brother Yang passed away, there wasn't a single healthy patch of skin all over his body. Some areas were so severely ulcerated, you could even see the bone underneath. After younger brother Yang's death, the hundreds of billions in inheritance Grandpa left him passed to me as the next legal heir. I didn't live a wild, wasteful life like younger brother Yang did. I know full well how hard Grandpa and his generation worked to build their careers in the business world. Every single cent of this fortune is their hard-earned money. I donated half of it to charity and public welfare causes. I made a long-term financial plan for the remaining half. Several more years passed. My parents became the richest people in the entire country. I successfully finished my postgraduate studies. I took the initiative to join the family company and started working from the very bottom level. My parents had long chosen me as the designated family heir. I will definitely work as hard as possible and live up to my parents' expectations. With open arms, I would save all my love in a jar.